Howdy everybody, it's Dave, and I'm out here just off the coast of the beautiful island of Maui for the second installment of Boat Rebuild Inboard to Outboard. I wasn't gonna initially make a second video. I just made the first one for fun when I converted this boat from an inboard to an outboard. But the response I got was so good. I got so many positive comments from people and a lot of questions people had about the build, and everybody said a lot of nice things, and even a lot of people said a lot of negative things, and all the negative things were true, so I really couldn't be mad about it. But a friend of mine told me that it'd be a good idea to make another video, so it's been 1 year since we put out the last video. I'm going to try to do a lot of this from memory if I can. Tell you about what I did and try to tell you the cost and where I got stuff. I'll try not to make it too boring if I can. On the last video I just played music, and one of the comments was they would rather me talk. For some reason they wanted to hear me talk rather than play the music, so in this time I'll talk and I'll point out some stuff. And this is usually the part in the video where every YouTuber says please like and subscribe and hit the notification button and all that other stuff. Well, don't do any of that. Because I don't really have a YouTube channel. I'm not monetized. I don't, so just enjoy the video and have fun. You don't have to do that. If you really feel like you'd like to like and subscribe to a video, go to the Maui Dutch Kitchen. You can see my beautiful wife. She's there. She has her channel. She cooks all kinds of really good stuff. You can learn how to make really good stuff, and go and like and subscribe to that channel. It's a lot better. She's a lot better to look at than I am. I would put a link in the description down below, but I don't know how to do that, so you're on your own. Maui Dutch Kitchen's easy to find, so do that. Okay, and while I'm on that topic about monetization, I just want to let you know I'm not sponsored by anybody. So when I point out different things that I did, there's probably better stuff out there. I paid full retail for everything. In fact, I paid a lot of money for shipping. For those of you that are familiar with locations such as the Hawaiian Islands, there's very little here. So almost everything I had to have shipped in, so I paid a lot of extra money. There's not a very big, you'd think there'd be a big marine industry. There is a West Marine, which is a really great shop, but it's over on Oahu. That's 100 miles away. You're gonna go by airplane. And with the pandemic, it's a complete ass ache trying to go anywhere and fly, so it's really tough to get parts and stuff like that. So everything has to be shipped in. So I just wanted to preface that when I start talking about different brands and things like that, just know that nobody's sponsoring me and that I paid maximum pop, you know, for everything plus shipping. So, okay, cool. One of the comments that a lot of people asked me about was that the engine is really, really underpowered. The size of the engine I put on is a 150 Merc. It's a 2016 150 horsepower. And everybody was like, oh, that thing's got to be super, super underpowered. And it is. That is a true statement. It is way underpowered. However, as you can see from that previous shot, if it's calm like it is today, it's not too rough. This engine will get this boat up on plane if you're patient, and it'll go about 25 miles an hour, which is not bad for a 6,000-pound cabin cruiser that used to have a big block Ford in it, a V8. So I normally don't push it. It's normally kind of rough out in Hawaii. It's usually some pretty good swells and some wind chop. This is a 30-something-year-old boat, and I don't want the thing to break into a million pieces on me. It's not, it's not exactly, a real sturdy hull to begin with. So here it is. The 2016 Mercury 150 horsepower. I got this engine from Brian Franzen at Franzen Marine in Florida. Great engine. It's given me a couple of minor issues, which was just a fuel pump problem, and I just got another Mercury fuel pump, and it's awesome. Great fuel economy and super reliable, as most of these four-strokes are. Now, one of the big questions everybody asked was, why did I go with a 150 horsepower Merc? Well, I'll tell you, I paid 7,500 bucks for this engine. The next step up was probably a 250 four-stroke, and the engine mount, which is built by MobiCool, as I told you in the first one, I talked to Scott at MobiCool and asked him, would this mount handle a 250 horsepower engine? He said he thought it would. It was really rated for a 200, but he was a little concerned about that much weight being that far back during trailering. So the primary concern I guess one of the first reasons I chose the 150, there were several, was I wanted to go with the lightest weight engine I could that would push the boat. And as I've said before, my wife and I use this mostly to snorkel, free dive, we go look at whales, and we do quite a bit of scuba diving. So most of the time I'm only going about 10 miles an hour anyway. Especially during whale season, you can't go that fast. We get a lot of humpback whales, as you guys probably know. And you know, you can't go too fast, you might run the risk of hitting them. So that was the first reason. So cost about that. Like I said, $7,500 for this engine. I think it was like $1,500 to ship it. He put it in this really neat crate. With that, he included a stainless steel propeller. He gave me all the cables I needed to hook it up, and the binnacle, which I'll show you later. You know, the shift and throttle mechanism, because of course, you know, this boat never had an outboard, so it would need all that. The next jump up to a 250, and he had a lot of them. It went from, you know, you're looking at like $11,000 or $12,000. And it's not that I didn't have that money, but again, when you start looking around this boat, it's a decent boat. I only paid $13,000 for it. I could put $50,000 worth of investment into it and it'd still be worth $13,000. So I didn't want to sink a ton of money into this boat, you know, because I'll never really get it back. And although you never really do get your money back out of these, my plan is probably in about 4 or 5 years, you know, I'll get a nicer boat. But for now, this thing worked perfect. Another one of the comments that was really great, somebody said, why didn't I run with twin engines? Again, cost, it would be smart. It's just absolutely foolish to be out, you know, in the ocean with one engine, in my opinion. But here I am with one engine out here. I try to not go any further from shore than I can swim. This transom was never really designed to have an outboard motor mounted to it. I had to do a lot of structural work to it to make it strong enough to hold it, and it is super strong. It's the strongest part of this boat. It would have required a ton more work to put the twin engines on. I just wasn't really up for it. I just didn't want to do it. And again, it's the cost, not really the cost of operating, but just it's just chasing you know, good money after bad, or however that saying goes. So I hope I'm not rambling, but here we go. There's the Mercury steering that I got from Brian Franzen. Great steering. See those lines? See that rusted piece of garbage right there? Okay, let me give you some solid advice. I got the C-Star steering. It's a great steering system. You just tell them how much length you need for the lines, and they give it to you. There's the C-Star steering system. It's so cool, self-contained. And that steering wheel, got it off Amazon. Anyway, you get the helm. It's super easy to install, and you get the lines, and it works awesome. Okay, so here's the caveat. The caveat is the C-Star steering lines are designed to work with the C-Star steering system, and if I was smart, I would have just bought it, but I already had the Mercury one, so I wasn't smart, and I had to make those adapters right there. That's that rusted piece of garbage that you see there. I had to go to a hydraulic shop to get those to made up, because those lines only work with the C-Star steering. Mercury, nothing's compatible, and that's that way for Yamaha, Suzuki, and everything, so it's a nightmare to get that done. I should have just bought the C-Star steering actuator, but I decided to do things the hard way because I excel at that. Okay, trying to be brief. There's the binnacle I got from Brian Franzen. It's a shifter mechanism, works super cool. There's the old marine radio from Amazon. I had to make this whole dash, which I just made out of plastic from Lowe's. All those switches are from Amazon that control different lights, my wiper and position lights. There's my bilge pump, a couple of washdowns, shower, cabin lights, my running lights, Amazon. There's a really neat thing. It's a Simrad. If you can afford it, get the bigger than 5-inch. This thing is really small, but it's super nice. It was like $500. Got it on Amazon. Compass, Amazon. Gauges, Amazon. If you want anything in Hawaii, you order it off Amazon. Otherwise, you don't get it. The hull. Here she is. Obviously, it's all full of my dive stuff now and scooters and whatnot. There's my marine batteries. They're all new. You can see that floor in there. I made that. That's just wood from that I polyurethaned from Lowe's. That's a brand new freshwater tank for the washdown pump, which is there. And new battery switches. That's where I keep all my scuba cylinders. I just made that out of wood and polyurethaned it. There's a lot of ways you can do this. You see that metal plate right there? That picks up all the bolt mounts from the MobiCool mount. And it comes straight down and picks up. It's hard to see because I have all my junk in here. But those two bolts right there, those are the original mount bolts on the stringer where the V8 Ford was. It had an OMC King Cobra in it, and I picked those bolt locations up so that engine pushes against that plate right into the stringers of the boat, because this transom is not strong enough to handle it. I've seen guys do it with fiberglass and wood, and I'm sure that works equally as well. I just had a kid here on island who's a welder fabricator. He made this whole thing for me, and it took him about 4 hours. It wasn't that expensive. So if you know a good welder, a good fabricator, or if you're a good welder or fabricator, you can make something. But you have to reinforce the transom on these boats. They're not designed for outboards. Another one of the comments I got is someone told me that I need to wear a respirator mask when I'm sanding fiberglass, and that's 100% correct. I should have been doing that. I'm just stupid and I forgot it. I got that ladder off Amazon. It's pretty cool, getting in and out of the water. It'll even hold my heavy butt with all my scuba gear on there. Not to get too deep into the weeds, but somebody asked me, how did I figure out where to mount the outboard engine? And that's a great question. There's probably all kinds of really technical ways to do it. I'm going to tell you how the lazy man did it. I measured the width of the hull and I divided it in half, and sure enough, the center of it was right in line with the drain plug. I then measured the MobiCool bracket, which you see there. It's that white engine mount bracket. I measured the width of that and I cut it in half, meaning I cut the measurement in half, and I made a mark. Once I lined up both of those marks, the center of that mount was in the center of the boat. Then all I had to do was determine the up and down height depending on the shaft length. And I probably did it wrong, but it was super easy and it works great. Are you getting in the water or do I gotta do it?
It's all you, baby.
I gotta do, oh man.
Cool.
Hey sweetie, I think we have a visitor. Here's a shot of the MobiCool bracket. Try to give you a view you don't normally get to see. Mounts up super easy, and be sure to use a liberal amount of PLF 4200 or whatever that is, that marine grade sealant. That stuff's awesome. That way it stays dry. I don't know what else to go over. I could basically go all around the boat and show you everything, and tell you how much it was, and tell you I ordered it off Amazon. I don't want to bore you guys to tears. I did want to mention that this boat comes with a 120-gallon fuel tank. It's a stainless steel fuel tank. All you need to do is hook up a line to it with one of those squeeze bulbs to a fuel water separator and hook it right up to the engine. With this little engine, I have no idea how much range I have, but I fill this boat like twice a year with gas. It gets really good mileage. My wife and I we were just sitting here talking about it. She said, what should I point out to everybody? She says, why don't you point out your handicap rails? I'm like, okay, cool. This had railing on it, and it's 35 years old, so it all crumbled. Everything out here just crumbles. These are stainless steel bathroom handrails from Lowe's for handicapped people. I have 7 of them on here, and they look kind of stupid, but I'm telling you what, when you get out of the water and you're in your dive gear, you love having them to hang on to. I've got them on the front and everywhere. Whenever you're doing something like this, if you have an older boat, I couldn't not get parts for this. A Bayliner obviously is not going to carry anything for this anymore, and no one's going to carry anything for it. But what's really interesting is it's a 12-volt system, and I knew that everything from motorhomes would work. So the motorhome water tanks, motorhome waste tanks, motorhome LED lights, and this, that, and the other, they're all over this. I've got lights everywhere on this boat, position lights, overhead lighting, all this kind of stuff. It all is compatible 12-volt DC motorhome stuff. If you get the stuff that's outdoor, it may or may not last in a saltwater environment, but at least it's tougher. So if you're having trouble finding stuff like that, windows, door latches, things like that, look at people that supply for RVs, and you can find a lot of stuff that will work. That's all I can think of for right now. Thanks everybody who viewed the other video, and thanks for all the positive comments. I really was surprised this many people watched the first video, and I was really surprised to see how many people are doing this conversion. It's tough. It took me the better part of about 8 months to do. It realistically should only take you about 2 months, but I was waiting and waiting and waiting for parts, and it was very difficult to do over here in Hawaii. So if you're on the mainland somewhere and you can, have access to machine shops and access to, quicker delivery of things, you could do it a lot faster. It's not that hard to do. Hope it wasn't too boring. It wasn't too long. Again, don't like and subscribe to me, but if you want, go check out Maui Dutch Kitchen, and you can see a bunch of foods that are really great and they're really bad for you, but they're so good. And again, we'll come on out to Maui and visit us. Thanks a lot.